All right, Kings fans, say goodbye to the 4-game losing streak. The final 132-122. The Kings open up this 7-game homestand on a good note. 35 assists, 13 turnovers. That's going to win you a game in the NBA almost every night.
Yeah, they did a great job passing the ball around, even distribution, and without Sabonis, Grant, for the entire second half.
Yeah, and that's not good. That looks like a serious ankle, and I got to believe he's going to be out for a while, and that's the last thing the Kings need right now.
So that's on the same side as the hamstring. So let's assume that it's a moderate sprained ankle. How do you think the Kings should handle Sabonis now down the stretch?
Well, once he's ready to play, he's going to play. That's how Sabonis plays. You know, he doesn't like to miss games. He doesn't like to sit out. But, I mean, I hate to speculate on something I don't know.
Sure.
But, I mean, the Kings are a play-in team, all right? Because of what's going on behind them, they're going to be in the play-in. So your best chance of winning 2 games, because you're going to be either a 9th or a 10th seed in all likelihood, is to have a healthy Sabonis. So you got to always keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Get him right, get him ready, and get him peaking for those last 2 games, hopefully, that get you to 7 more.
Yeah, again, 132-122, and the Kings with a nice, consistent effort. Game got a little tight there for a while, but then they were able to open it up. Again, you know, you had to win this game. Memphis is playing without 3 key guys. There's no way you can lose this game. And at the third quarter, you know, the Kings won this game, Ryno, in the first quarter. That's where they won this game because the second, third, and fourth quarters were basically even. The Kings won this game with their first quarter, and we have not said that much this season. We're always talking about how bad they play in the first quarter, but think about this. Second quarter, right? Even at 28. Third quarter, the Kings won by 1 point, and the fourth quarter, Memphis won by 2 points. So the game was won in the first quarter.
So I want to give the starters credit. I thought that they were moving better, cutting better, set play for Keegan Murray right out the gate. But really, that first quarter turned when the bench unit came in. Devin Carter got 3 steals in a matter of 4 steals, excuse me, I believe, in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. And they ended up getting 6 steals in 7 possessions. And that set a level of aggression, Grant, that spread throughout the game for the most part. And you saw it again in the third quarter defensively with the bench unit.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be impressed with what you saw there. I don't think there's any question about that. And, you know, they got 17 Memphis turnovers, and that's a real plus. But again, I like the ball movement tonight. You know, it wasn't stagnant. It wasn't sticking. It was moving around, and that's what you like to see because guess what? You've got Cleveland coming in here in 48 hours.
Yeah, a much different team than Memphis. Grant, how do you describe Cleveland, having watched them play this season?
No weaknesses. That's the best way I can say about it. They don't have any weaknesses.
Very, very little wasted movement. If there's a team that is on a string, literally, it's them. They are connected.
Kenny Atkinson's done a great job with them. Now, they do play tomorrow in L.A. against the Clippers. And as I mentioned this at halftime, we're getting down to the part of the season where it's not uncommon for guys to all of a sudden come up with mysterious injuries. And you never know. So just keep that in mind.
We've seen weirder things. The Kings have been the beneficiaries. Some of that down the stretch. Now they got bit in the tail by it tonight with Sabonis. But the Kings, and to a degree, the bottom of the Western Conference has now put themselves in a position where, you know, how different are we talking about this Sabonis injury last year had it happened at this time?
Yeah, big time. I mean, we saw what happened last year when Monk and Herter were out of the lineup, and the Kings really they had to change their style of play. I can't even imagine what that would have been like without Sabonis. I mean, you can make up for it a little bit more now because of Valanciunas, which you didn't have. But anyone that doesn't think that they're going to miss Sabonis is fooling themselves. They're going to miss Sabonis here with these stretch of games coming up.
Yeah, and Jake LaRavia continuing to come in and give this team some energy.
Yeah, he played well tonight.
He adds a different personality that this team needed. Not going to call him a dog or anything like that. It was just a personality the Kings have needed.
Yeah, he played well tonight, and I thought the whole team played well tonight. Again, the only thing that was the real downside was the Sabonis injury. That's just unfortunate.
Free throws were not good tonight. That is
true. That's true. That's true.
I got to ding them there. But for a 48-minute game, I only thought there was maybe about 4 minutes there in the third quarter where the game went stagnant and went
Yep.
ISO. So that's a big plus for this Kings team. And by the way, Grant, I hope you didn't put a prop bet on Isaiah Crawford over under half a free throw. The feds might be investigating you in the morning.
Oh, I did not. I did not make a prop bet. Smart move on my part, right?
That's one of those ones that somebody would get dinged up on.
I know.
If you took
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh.
Hey, by the way, Phoenix is going to catch Dallas, even with their brutal schedule. They're now only a game back in a loss column. So Phoenix killed Toronto tonight. I got to believe that I don't know if Dallas will win a game the rest of the year.
Well, AD's on his way, reportedly to the G League affiliate.
Yeah, I saw that.
Try to get right. I mean, it changes things to a degree, but you still need somebody to play with AD.
Yeah.
And I love Kess, Grant, but Kessler Edwards ain't going to be that guy.
No. It's again, we're talking about this because in all likelihood, that's who Sacramento's going to play in the play-in in their first game. And the loser is done, and the winner goes on to play the loser of 7-8. So keep that in mind.
Yep, very well said. And that's where you got to take a little bit of a focus with this 3-ball. The Kings got to find a way. They took, let's see, how many 3-balls did they take tonight? 41, closer to the 50 number that Doug wants. But if the Kings are going to be competitive with Phoenix, they can't have a game where it's 22% from beyond the arc.
No,
it's got to be more.
They cannot. So again, we'll get more word on Sabonis tomorrow with the ankle, but it did not look good. He only played 12 minutes. It happened at the beginning of the second half. There's just no other way to say it. It is not good. Plain and simple, it's not good.
Yeah, and you got stitches earlier in the night too.
Yeah, he had a rough game. He had a rough game. There's no question. But the ankle, he was really laboring, needed help to get off the floor.
Yep, no doubt. So we were talking at halftime about this rest management problem that the NBA has. And I was thinking, it's the only way that this gets fixed if a player comes forward and says, BS, you're not doing that. I'm playing. And that starts the narrative.
Maybe. I don't know if a player would do that or not, but that would help. The bottom line is the NBA has become a soft league. And if it's not soft in reality, it's soft in perception. And that is why the ratings continue to slide. The NBA's got a real issue right now. They can't ignore that. I mean, all you have to do is look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The NBA is hurting for a variety of reasons. Not like, they're not bleeding. They're not, it's not anything like baseball, but the ratings continue to go down. And I'll tell you this, Jerry mentioned this, and he's spot on. If you get a Cleveland, Oklahoma City NBA Finals, no one's going to watch that, even though those are two really good teams, but they're not going to sell nationwide. People aren't going to watch that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that happens. I just, do you think we're headed on that course?
What course?
For a Cleveland and Oklahoma City matchup? It feels too right because these teams have played so well, yet you got Luka and the Lakers lurking out there. Boston.
Yeah, quite frankly, I think the Lakers are going to have issues when the season wears on, if they make it that far, because of LeBron and their age and things of that nature. But when I'm looking at Oklahoma City, I don't see anybody in the West that's going to beat them 4 times if they're healthy. I just don't. Houston's not. Denver, I could see, but I don't even think they can beat Oklahoma City 4 times. Memphis isn't. Golden State's not. I mean, who's going to beat Oklahoma City? Who's going to win 4 games against that team? You got to remember, not only are they really good, they're really good on the road. Think about their road record. They're 27-7 on the road. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah. I wonder, one team that stands out, I wonder if the Clippers, assume they stay healthy, that think about the defense. If you're able to lock SGA up a little bit, they have the length, they have the size. It's a long shot, but I could see from a matchup standpoint.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Does James Harden play for the Clippers?
Yes, he does.
Okay, there you go. End of conversation. Because if the games, because in a big game or big games, he will melt and he will be invisible.
Fair enough, my friend.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I had to just say they do have James Harden, right?
Yes, I believe that's the guy with the beard that's pretty
Yes,
long
that's
and
correct. That's correct.
seems to have trouble breathing and coughing during the playoffs.
But again, I don't see who's if Oklahoma City is healthy, I don't see anyone in the West beating them right now.
Yeah, it's a good point. Let us know who you guys think in the chat. And you're welcome to call the show as well tonight. We would love to hear from you. The Kings, Grant, are going to have some decisions to make at the center power forward position. You got Trey Lyles a little banged up still. I don't think you go to the open market at this time. Maybe you look internally. Scal, I lean a little bit more towards IT. Or IJ, I should say.
The bottom line is it's a problem, Ryno. No matter what you do, it's a problem.
Yeah, it is a huge problem. I think IJ has gotten Isaac Jones enough burn with this team. He's athletic enough. He's your last option. You're hoping he's not playing at all, but they've got to do something.
And you look at the health of this team right now. If you have one more injury, you're screwed. So, I can't imagine Sabonis coming back for a week, and that's without even knowing whether it is mild, moderate, or severe sprain. That's without me. I'm just going by what my eyes showed me with him getting off the floor. I can't imagine he's coming back anytime soon.
Yep. And Zach LaVine tweaked his ankle tonight as well. He was able to play through that, though. How did Malik Monk look to you tonight? More like a point guard?
Yep. And he had to. And he has to do that on a fairly regular basis, because if not, the Kings are going to have some issues.
The problem is, now that Sabonis is out, the job or the task of looking like a more regular point guard with Valanciunas, it's much different, because Sabonis and Valanciunas are just different players off that pick and roll.
Totally different. It is different. But the good news is they've had some practice, because Sabonis was just out for a number of games.
Very true. Very, very true. Let's see, as we continue to roll through the chat, Monk did have a good game. Zach LaVine, surprisingly, assist-wise, had a good game. He only turned it over 2 times. I thought he was smarter with the basketball.
I agree. I think, and I'm not taking anything away from Sacramento, because they played very well tonight and they earned the victory. Memphis did not play well, and I can guarantee you that will be the theme coming out of the locker room. They didn't have a good effort tonight. They didn't play well. Yes, they're without some key players, but you saw about a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. You saw the C version of the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, even without some key players. That was the C version, whereas I think the Kings brought their A game tonight.
I see, and I'm glad that you said that at the tail end, because I feel like the Kings kind of kicked Memphis into that version with that stretch at the end of the first quarter where they got 6 turnovers in 7 possessions. I think when you're on the road, you're a team that's 5-5 in their last 10. It just takes something like that when you don't have a guy like Ja Morant to.
Well, that's the whole point. They didn't have their star point guard in Ja Morant, and if Morant's in that situation, they're not turning the ball over 6 or 7 times. And listen, I give the Kings full credit for beating Memphis twice this year without Morant. Morant didn't play in the game that the Kings won earlier in the year. You know what? When you're playing a team without their best player, you've got to capitalize on it. And I give the Kings credit, because they did that.
Yep, absolutely. Second time this year, a key King has gone down against Memphis. De'Aaron Fox had the fall against Memphis.
That's right.
Time in Sacramento.
That's correct. So again, the first quarter was where the Kings won this game, and I think they need to have a good first quarter against Cleveland, because they might be a little stagnant coming out of the gate, because they play tomorrow night in LA against the Clippers.
Yeah, you got to hop on them right from the start. And here's the other thing: how Memphis went on that run for a little bit at the start of the third quarter. Desmond Bane starts going nuts. One run like that against Cleveland is much different than Memphis coming at you with that run.
I didn't hear Katie say that, but Katie said the Kings will be just fine without Sabonis in the playoffs. I disagree. Well, 2 things about that. I don't think the Kings are going to be in the playoffs. And if she thinks that the Kings are going to be fine without Sabonis, and again, I didn't hear her say that.
I didn't hear that, yeah.
All right, so you might be making this up, but she obviously, you probably misheard her. I don't think Katie would ever make a comment like that. If she did make a comment like that, she ought to have her head examined, but I don't believe she would say that.
So I did get this one that I thought was pretty good. Quote, Ja Morant has been a great leader for the Grizzlies, end quote. Mark Jones.
Excuse me?
Yes.
You mean Mark Jones, the announcer for the Kings?
Correct.
He is just an absolute buffoon. The guy is he's an embarrassment. He really
Correct.
is. What a disgrace to have him as your lead announcer. That's embarrassing. He's an embarrassment.
Yeah, you got lasers possibly attached to guns going through car door windows.
He's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to ESPN, and he's an embarrassment to the Sacramento Kings. And I'll tell you, the fact that the fans tolerate his verbiage and his social media platform, the fact that the Kings fans tolerate that, shame on you if you tolerate that. This guy is a disgrace.
Pretty bad. Dirk, thanks for kicking us off tonight, buddy.
Hey, Dirk.
Oh, I didn't know I was the lead. Sorry. Speaking of disgrace, how about the scouting report on Jake LaRavia, Grant?
Oh, here we go. I love this. I'm going to step back and let these two go.
The what?
I said, speaking of disgrace, how about the scouting report on Jake LaRavia?
Oh, what we were talking about yesterday. Give him credit. He played well. He
did.
I
he
thought
brought
Memphis,
the energy
again,
tonight, which is what I was hoping he would bring in the fourth quarter of the Kings game against Phoenix, which I think he was kind of a spark. Even in the fourth quarter where he's fouling like crazy, the team kept that energy up, which sometimes I think this team needs an energy leader personally.
Well, he played 23 minutes tonight, which is good for him. And he had a good game. But you got to also remember, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him or the Kings. Memphis was without three key players, including an all-star point guard. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, Kings are without an all-star point guard too. And then they lost Sabonis midway through the game.
Who's the all-star point guard they're without?
One-time all-star point guard that we don't have on this team anymore.
Well, he's not on the team anymore. He's not on the team anymore, and he's not in the same category as Ja Morant. But stop it, please. He's not on the team anymore.
Fair enough. This was a pleasant turnaround game. Again,
yes,
they brought the energy. It was fun. I like that unit. You guys think Keon might be a little bit hurt or nursing something? Because it seems like some games he doesn't get a lot of minutes late into the games for some reason. I get a feeling he's nursing something. What are your thoughts?
Ryno?
I've not heard anything, Dirk. I think it's situational. I think Devin Carter was giving Doug some good minutes, and I think he rode the hot hand.
Carter definitely has NBA level game of getting to the line, I will say, but man, really needs to start hitting those free throws. But I did like the energy plays for him tonight. But I'll let other people contribute.
Hey, thank you, Dirk. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Devin Carter, I like his aggression. It's slowed down a little bit, but Dirk's right. Got to the line 6 times, only made 2. Got to do a little bit better.
I don't think you're going to have him in. I don't think he's going to be able to play in the big moments here coming down the stretch. I think he's good in the middle of the game when you need him for 4 or 5 minutes. I think that's what he's going to be able to do. And take it. I mean, if he can make an impact defensively when he does his 3 or 4 minute stint, then that's kind. You need that. But his shooting is terrible.
Yeah, and it's the ball. See, if I had to prioritize, it's the ball handling first, then it's the shooting, because that's where teams are going to hone in. That's where teams honed in. In fact, last year, right around this time, that happened on Colby Jones. You never saw Colby on the court again,
right?
The rest of the season. So I would be locking him and Keegan in a room together in the offseason and just ball handle, ball handle, ball handle.
Yeah, good point. 132 to 122. The Kings get the W, and they snap that 4-game losing streak. Coming up next, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hey, don't forget about New Works Plumbing. For your plumbing needs and repairs, just go to 916-713-1010. Go to the website. You see it there on the screen, or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They're available 24/7 for your plumbing needs and repairs. Once again, give them a call if you need them. They are awesome. And don't forget, coming up a little bit later in the program, a rant with Grant. It can be on anything. Doesn't have to be on just the Kings or the NBA. A rant with Grant coming up for you in just a little bit. Let me get that ugly face off the screen there. Sorry to do that.
What do you mean that ugly face? Come on, man. It's not an ugly face.
Hey, listen, I can't comment on myself. You know that. I can comment, though, on a solid performance by the Kings and a solid first quarter, and I like that for. So we get asked, how long is Sabonis out for? How would anybody know that? Like, how would anyone know how long he's out for when he hasn't had any imaging yet?
Yeah, and especially history depends on that. How much cartilage you got left in that ankle? Yeah, everybody's different. You're gonna get some MRI in. Jack, what's up tonight?
Hey, Jack.
Bye,
Goodbye,
Jack.
Oh,
He's trying. He's trying hard. So, okay, if there's one thing from tonight's game that you want the Kings to bring with them to the next game, what is
yeah.
it?
Intensity. I like the way they started the game and they kept their intensity up. I didn't see that in Phoenix. I didn't see that enough at Golden State, and I certainly didn't see that against the Knicks.
Yep, I'm right along the same lines as you. I'm going to say pace. It makes a difference when you are constantly in the other team's face. They make a basket, Malik pushes it right back down the court. Stockton is great at that, and I think that makes a big difference for this team when they do that.
Yeah, I like that. And then the third thing is the ball movement. It was not stagnant tonight. The ball was moving, and that was a huge welcome sight.
No doubt. No doubt. And if there was I guess, a little sidecar of what I could bring from this game, Jalen Wells, can we just put him in a Kings jersey?
Well, how about Desmond Bane?
I mean, Bane's going to be Bane, but I love the upside.
Have you ever seen Bane not have a good game against Sacramento, buddy?
Not when he's healthy. If he's healthy, good night now. He is a good player. He's like an old school looking player too, the way he's built, Grant. I love watching Bane play basketball.
So game one of this 7-game homestand is in the books. And next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We look at the standings now in the Western Conference. Again, the Phoenix Suns won. They are creeping up on the heels of the Mavericks, but they have a brutal schedule. So Minnesota, thank you, Ryno. Minnesota is 40-30. You're not going to catch them. All right. They're either going to be in 6th, 7th, or 8th, but you're not catching them. The Clippers are 38-30. I would say it's highly unlikely you're catching them because you lose the tiebreaker. So the chances of you catching them with 15 games left is like very, very, very remote. You're not going to catch them. So you're either going to be 9th or 10th. You're 34-33. Dallas is 33-36. And then Phoenix is only a game back in a loss column. You can't completely rule out Portland, but yet, I just don't see it. The only reason why I'm saying that, when you get a minute, look at the Phoenix Suns schedule. Their schedule, Ryno, is like brutal. I mean, I could see them, and I'm not exaggerating here. I could see the Suns losing all but 1 or 2 games. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to read this off, okay? Their next game is the only game I could see them winning the rest of the year. That's Chicago. You ready for this? Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston at home, at Minnesota, Houston at home, which I don't understand this scheduling. You go at Milwaukee, at Boston, at New York, home Golden State, home Oklahoma City. You'll beat San Antonio, and then you wrap up it on the 13th at Sacramento. How about that schedule? I mean, are you kidding me? Can you believe that schedule, Ryno?
Well, I can, because the Kings aren't too far behind them. But here's what I'll say, Grant, we've seen this team you and Jerry talked about it at halftime, look not interested. If this team goes on a losing skid, 3-4, you're on a road trip, you're on the East Coast, it could snowball. Just what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I do not like the Kings' schedule this year. I think that trip after this long homestand, it's the worst time to be going to the East Coast as you wrap up the season. That is a brutal trip it's just brutal, because when you get back from that trip, it takes a couple days to get acclimated, and you don't have time to get acclimated. You got to get going here. And I hate that. These East Coast trips, at the end of the year, absolutely brutal.
It's the second year in a row that they've done that. I don't remember that trip before that. I thought exactly right. Let me ask you this. What are you doing travel-wise? You wrap up the homestand against Portland on Thursday, the 27th. You play Saturday in Orlando. Are you traveling after the game, or are you waiting until
No.
Friday?
No, you're not traveling after the game. No way in the world. Because
Okay.
you got to remember, it's a 3-hour time difference. There's no way you're flying all night. There's no chance. That's not happening.
Okay.
That's not even a consideration.
All right. That just seems like a short turnaround to get all the way to the other.
Yeah, but you can't take off at 2 in the morning.
I'm not advocating for it. I just don't. I don't like the scheduling there. I just.
Oh yeah,
think
no, I don't disagree with you. I don't like the scheduling either. I think it's awful, and I think the Kings are going to lose already at Orlando if they have Banchero and Wagner playing. They're going to lose that game. I think they're going to lose at Indiana. I think they'll win at Washington. I think they'll win at Charlotte. I think they'll lose at Detroit. They got to. I don't like that trip for them. I think it's and again, all the traveling, and then you got to come back and get ready for your final home games of the year. It's brutal.
Yeah, I think that the two games that are really sticking out to me are the last two when the Kings return home, because I think that Clippers game is going to mean something. Most likely more to the Clippers than the Kings. But then the Phoenix game, how do you play that if you might be playing Phoenix imminently? I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't play anybody in that game. That's just the way it is. I think Phoenix will be in 10th. I think Sacramento will be in 9th. And if that game were to determine home court advantage, I would definitely not play anyone because I'd actually rather play on the road than at home. I just feel the Kings are a better team on the road, although they didn't look that way at Golden State and at Phoenix a couple days ago. And I know they're not going to do that. They're going to want to play at home. I'm telling you what I would want.
Sure.
The Kings, if that game comes down to who's at home for the play-in, the Kings will try to win that game. Plain and simple, they'll try to win that game.
Don't disagree with you. Your old buddy Brad Miller got to light the beam with Jake LaRavia tonight.
Like why?
I don't know. Brad's sitting courtside all the time. He's got this beautiful, long, flowing hair, almost like a mullet. Any good Brad?
I like
Miller?
Brad. I like Brad, but I mean, why?
Well, we all know why. The owner.
No, why? I don't know why. Why? Why?
Because
are
the
you having
owner loves having.
Years ago? Huh?
Because the owner loves having those guys around.
Yeah.
That is the MO of the owner.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I just do not understand that. But and I like Brad. He's a friend of mine. But I don't know why you would have him like the beam. Okay, I do know this. What? Go ahead.
If you don't get that, go with me here. Let me know if you get this. It's gonna be about 4 or 5 second video.
Okay. Yeah. On that note, I'm going to tell you about Sunrise Landing. Folks, this is the newest residential community in Calusa. You go to calusasunrise.com. Don't forget, this is a Blazona development project. Check out all the various models, the lot sizes, the fact that there's no homeowners, there's no Mellorews, easy to get to, whether it's I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Go to calusasunrise.com. You'll get all the information you need on beautiful Sunrise Landing. Once again, that is calusasunrise.com. And do not forget a rant with Grant coming up in a little bit.
Give us your rant ideas. Waiting for some audio from Coach Christie. In the meantime, we're happy to take your phone calls. Anything that you want to talk about as we come down the home stretch of this season. Crazy that we're already here, Grant.
Somebody says, would I light the beam? I would have to be in the arena to light the beam. So no, I will not be lighting the beam.
That might be like the loudest ovation of a beam lighting ever, if that were to happen.
I don't know about that.
I think it would be. I think it would be pretty loud.
I don't see that happening.
Let's see. What else do we got in the chat? Give us some good stuff. Give us some rant ideas. Grant, would you do that dance that Vivek did?
How much money are you going to pay me?
Last time we started this conversation, we shaved our heads and raised $16,000.
Okay, well, again, how much money? Let me repeat. How much money are you going to give me?
I bet we could get a GoFundMe going that would we could start it at $100. You got to do the dance. You got to find a partner. I will not be your partner on that one. You and Jerry got to do that dance together.
Jerry and I, we could make some money on that, huh?
I think you could.
Yeah.
I think you definitely could. Laravia and Carter intensity on defense was the difference tonight. No doubt. Completely agree.
Yes.
As we continue rolling.
Hey, by the way, how about the Nuggets beating the Warriors tonight without Nikola Jokic and without Jamal Murray in San Francisco? Let me give you the box score here. It's the final in this game was 114 to 105. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your starting lineup for Denver: Aaron Gordon, Hunter Tyson, Peyton Watson, Michael Porter Jr., Russell Westbrook. All right. Porter Jr. had 21. Aaron Gordon, by the way, had 38. Here's your starting lineup for the Warriors: Moody and Curry in the backcourt, Post, Butler, Green up front. Kuminga played 28 minutes, Looney 15, Buddy 21, Gary Payton 26. You lost to the Nuggets playing without their 2 All-Stars. How about that?
That's I'm looking at this box right now. You only get 2 points from Buddy Hield in 21 minutes. That's going to stick out to you. 9 from Moody. Post only 4. That's a hell of a win for Denver.
That is a hell of a win. You are 100% correct, and that's a really bad loss without those 2 All-Stars. I don't know if Golden State just thought it was going to be easy, but that is, that they're only now a half game up on Minnesota.
And you know why that's a really, really good win for Denver? Like some sub-context is their bench is so thin. So you get some of those guys some extended run, gives them some confidence. I love that. Golden State, by the way, Grant, only shot the 3 ball at 24.2% tonight. Yeah, they were 8 for 33.
Yeah, could you imagine if Golden State's 7th and they play the Clippers in the play-in? That will be a hell of a game.
Yes, that would be a hell of a game. Andy, go ahead.
And then you play the loser if you beat the Suns or the Mavs if you're the Kings. Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, how you guys doing? Happy Monday.
Same to you. Monday. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Of course, yeah, you guys as well. Yeah, obviously, pretty good win. Getting back on track. The defense obviously looked great tonight. All the good things that you guys already touched over. Just the one thing that I have on my mind is kind of like that's a little bit frustrating is definitely just the inconsistency. Like you never know what you're going to get with this team, and you love the way they come out tonight. Like they punch them in the mouth. They're aggressive on the defensive end. They're making threes. The turnovers are a little bit bad, but overall, a really, really good game. And you almost wonder, like, you couldn't play like this a couple days ago against the Suns in a game or against the Warriors. That's arguably a way more important game. It's just, and then you could argue that the Grizzlies are better than both of those teams. So it's just it's weird because the Kings always play up to their competition, and I feel like they're not usually ever playing their best basketball against teams that they should beat or need to beat.
Well, it's called consistency or lack thereof, and the biggest issue with the Kings this year has been their inconsistency.
Yeah, I agree. I was just, I just hope, although we're probably going to have the 9th or 10th spot and Murderers Row coming up, it's going to be tough regardless. What I'm watching for in these next, 10 to 15 games is just seeing if this group can build some type of chemistry, and maybe get on the same page. The defense looks good. And then maybe we get lucky in the playing game. That would be best case scenario.
Hey, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much for chiming in, and you have a good evening.
I think the biggest thing, if you're going to learn from the last 10 games, if you're going to learn from the good stretch out of the All-Star break, it's that, Grant, the pace has to be higher. This team needs to get more shot attempts. Yes. If you go into the ISO, that's what slows it down because they're not converting on their threes. So Correct. If you're not going to convert, at least get more attempts at it. And when it's frenetic, what did we see on defense tonight, Grant?
Hey, I'll tell you what I saw. What I saw is what I want to see the rest of the season. That's what I want to see.
Absolutely nailed it. Yeah, and the 3 ball, it's okay. You can control whether you make threes or miss threes, but you can't control it as much as you can control effort, Grant.
Amen.
That's the one thing that you can
Yep.
always bring, whether the ball's going in or out. So
Amen.
to me, there's no excuses. Bring the effort.
Hey, I'm with you. Hey, A Rant with Grant is brought to you by EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. David and Adam, just two guys trying to do something different and better. If you are looking to sell your vehicle, get in touch with them. If you are not looking to sell your vehicle, but you want to purchase a vehicle, I got good news for you. You go to edhmotors.com. You can check out what they have currently. But if you don't find what you're looking for, don't worry about it. Get in touch with David and Adam. Their decades of automotive experience will get it for you. And here's the other great part. You don't go to a dealership. You don't deal with all of that. You're going to go to their beautiful auto lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. It is a long overdue concept. It's a phenomenal concept. And if you go to edhmotors.com, you'll get all the information you need. But again, if you're looking to sell your vehicle, give them a call. You got the email, or as I said, go to edhmotors.com. That's EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. If I may, on my social media, here on this channel, very often I'm asked, where do I live? And I'm just curious, what difference does it make to you where I live, whether I'm in Florida or I'm in California? Is it just because you're curious, or does it matter to you? For the record, since I started doing this show with Ryno, I've done my show all over the world. I've done my show in Florida. I've done my show in New York. I've done my show in Tennessee. I've done my show in California. I've done my show live from Montenegro. I've done my show live from Bangkok. I've done my show live from Phuket, Thailand. I've done my show live from Da Nang, Vietnam. I've done my show live from the airport in Dubai. You didn't know that. I've done my show live from the airport in Singapore. You never knew that. I watch all the games. I follow all the games, all the sports, regardless of where I am in the world. And the beauty is this right here. I can watch what I want when I want without a problem. So I'm just curious. Like, why are you so curious about where I live? We live in a small world. We're all connected by a thing called the internet. And if I have Wi-Fi, I can do my show on a sailboat, although I wouldn't really want to, in the middle of the freaking Pacific Ocean. Again, not saying that's what I want to do, but if I had to, I could do it. I've actually thought about joining you all from an international flight at 35,000 feet, but I thought that might be pushing a little bit, and we might have some interruptions and some delays. And I thought it might look a little weird getting set up on the airplane with my microphone and my camera and my laptop. So I have said, I'm probably going to pass on this one. But again, I'm just curious. Does it really matter to you where I live? Like, does it matter to you where I live? I'm watching the same thing you're watching. Maybe a different time zone, maybe the same time zone. You have no idea where I am. You never know where I am. Don't worry about it. It's all good. But I had to ask the question, what difference does it make? And that's my rant for tonight.
Grant Napier, the limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling, dealing, streaming. Man.
Well, someone says we want you back. That's why. Well, that has nothing to do currently with where I'm living and where I'm at. If you want me back, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. But that in the until that happens, if that ever does happen, that's not going to change right now where I live. Okay.
Hey, buddy, you might want to look behind you. I think you just dropped a bunch of cities. Very cool, nice cities that a lot of people would like to travel to.
Yeah. And I've never had an issue when I'm traveling to do my show, even at airports. I left out the airport in Hong Kong. I did my show from the Centurion Lounge in Hong Kong, full show with camera and microphone. at the Centurion Lounge in Hong Kong. No one knew that I was at the airport in Hong Kong.
Yeah. You know what you need to do? You need to get the resident suite on, is it Etihad
Yes,
Airlines?
Etihad Airlines, the resident suite.
Yeah.
If I get, you know what, if I could ever experience the resident suite, I would do a show there just to show everybody how freaking awesome that is. You have your own chef too. They literally will make whatever you want. Your own private
name's
chef.
on the menu. Your name is on the
Yes.
menu.
Yes, and
Napes.
that's not really on my Emirates first class on my bucket list. Singapore first class suites is on my bucket list. Haven't done that. I've done business on both, but I haven't done that. So once I win my lawsuit, then I'll do that.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that. And I got a question for you here on the back end. But first, we got to get to Robin Ease. What's up, man?
You know what, Grant? Those were some cities that you was talking about, Grant.
Robbed
Those were some cities.
Right?
Oh, hey,
Yes,
man. But Grant, I love talking to Hall of Famer because I remember what you said a couple weeks ago about De'Aaron Fox having that hurt pinky, right? And going
Yep.
in for a surgery. Good,
Yep.
great call on that. You also said Sabonis will start thinking about next year, right? That could be a possibility depending on how these couple games go. Do you think he comes
I
back?
think it is. I think it's going to be an issue. I really do.
So now he can think about, I can sit out the rest of the year with this injury and get ready for the open market. How do you feel about that theory?
I don't think he's going to do that. That's not his mentality. That's not how his mind thinks.
Right.
That's not his DNA. His DNA is to play. And if he can walk, he's going to play. That's how he is. And he's not, I can guarantee you right now, whether he's in the treatment room or in imaging, getting an X-ray or MRI, he's not thinking about next year right now. I know he's not wired like that.
There's something different about Domantas Sabonis. I've only met him once or twice, but I've talked to people around him. He has and I mean this in the most respectful way, an insecurity to where he does not take his spot in the NBA for granted. He doesn't see himself at the level that he's at. And in some ways, it's a special insecurity which drives what you see night in and night out by him.
That's a great point, Ryno, and that's spot on.
And that's a culture, and that's a guy with a great father, right? That makes you have that self-awareness, and that make you feel like you have to not everything's given but earned.
Yeah, and also one other point, if you don't mind me interrupting for a second. He's also under a contract. All right, it's not like he can just pick up and leave.
Great call, Greg. Because I didn't even think about that. That's a very, very important note. Now, I'm kind of excited for this though because when Sabonis was out, the ball was moving. Ball was moving again tonight. I think DeMar had over like 5 assists, which was kind of crazy, right? But I don't care about that. I got to think about the future when I got you, Grant. So let's go high level now. How was your interview process, Grant, when you were the Kings? How was your interview process? How did that look? How did you even get the job for the Kings?
In a nutshell, I moved to Sacramento in July of '87 to be the sports director at Channel 31. And that was being on the news, doing the sports Monday through Friday. And 8 months after I arrived in Sacramento, Channel 31 won the contract to televise the Kings for 3 years. And my general manager, L.H. Rushinsky, who just retired as the general manager at Channel 3, KCRA in Sacramento, wanted me to do the games. And we had, back then, the games were, I wasn't a Kings employee when I started doing the Kings games. The Kings had to approve me as the announcer. And I'll give you a little quick story here. I worked at an unknown TV station where very few people watched the news. People didn't know who I was. And that holiday season, after going to the Kings games and sitting courtside as part of my job for a couple of months, I was so enthralled with what I saw and was so excited with the atmosphere at the old Arco. I'm talking about Arco 1, 10,333. I was just like, wow. And the Kings organization, even though I was nobody, treated me really, really well, especially their media relations director, whose name is Julie Fye, who's now the media relations director for the Phoenix Suns. And I wrote a handwritten note to Joe Axelson, who is the general manager. And I said, and I'm paraphrasing, I said, hey, Joe, my name is Grant Napier. I'm the sports director at Channel 31. I'm fairly new in town, but I just had to compliment how your staff has treated me and what a privilege it's been to go to the games and cover your team. And I ended it by saying, I hope the people in this community realize how lucky they are to have this team here. And so in April of 1988, our general manager had a meeting with the Kings about me. And I get called into his office, and he said, I don't know what it is about you, but the Kings love you. And you're the new announcer for the Sacramento Kings. And to this day, I honestly believe that me taking the time to write that note to Joe Axelson, the general manager, was instrumental in me being approved to do the games beginning in 1988. And I did them for 32 straight years.
What awesome. That's who would have thought a merger would benefit so many fans and you. That's so wild.
And listen, when I wrote that letter, I had no idea at all that Channel 31 was going to be in the mix to be in the bidding to do the Kings games. Honestly, it didn't really enter my mind. And so I didn't write the letter thinking, oh, I know we're going to get the Kings. I got to butter them up. I did it just because, I don't know. It's my MO. It's my DNA. I'm a big believer in saying thank you. Like, I believe you say thank you. When people do nice things for you, I believe you say thank you. I believe you go out of your way and say thank you. I believe in our society today, there aren't enough thank yous. I mean, someone opens up the door for me. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like, I'm like that. That's how I was raised. I believe.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Show your appreciation. Don't assume that people know what you're thinking. Show them your appreciation. So that letter was basically a holiday letter of appreciation to Joe Axelson, the general manager. And then it was his decision in April, fast forward from December to April, to approve me as the announcer. And the rest is history. And then in 1995, I became a full-time employee of the Kings because Channel 31 then, even though they were still doing the games, the rights were brought in-house, meaning whereas the Kings produced and did all of that, it's kind of hard to explain if you don't understand the business. But in 1995, I stopped doing the TV and I started my radio show at the station in Sacramento. And here's something else. The general manager of the radio station met with me and Tim Roy, the longtime announcer of the Warriors, because Tim and I started the show together. And his name was Chuck Goldstein. I'll never forget this. We're in his office on West El Camino. And he goes, right now, nobody listens to our station. And I said, we'll have the #1 show within 6 months. Now, wait a minute. I said, we'll have the #1 show in 6 months if you hire us. And he started laughing. He goes, you obviously don't understand the market. He said that to me. And I said, Chuck, I not only understand the market, I'm telling you right now, we will be the #1 show in the men demographic that you are striving for, men being 25 to 54. We'll have the #1 show because I knew it was a 50,000 watt station.
Yep.
And I knew that with me being the Kings announcer and Tim Roy being the backup to Gary Gerald, who had been at KFBK for a number of years, I just knew it was going to work. And 6 months later, we were #1 in men 25 to 54, and we stayed #1 in 3 of the 4. We weren't #1 a lot in the summer because there was nothing going on in the summer. But fall, winter, and spring book, we killed it.
Easy.
And I always used to kid Chuck about that before Chuck left. And Chuck was great. I love Chuck. I said, hey, Chuck, 6 months, baby. 6 months. I used to call him 6-month Chuck. I'd go, hey, 6-month Chuck, how are you? That's what I used to call him. So that's
awesome.
That's how
One
that
last
happened.
thing, Grant. So, because the Maloofs, right? Yeah,
Yep.
you're very familiar with them.
Yeah.
And now, is those people who bought the Pelican? No, I apologize. Who bought the Mavs? The same type of owners? Like they're really into the casino market. Was the Maloofs trying to do the same thing that they were doing, trying to tank the team to get us to move to Vegas? Are they doing
No.
like a Maloof move? Give me some.
No.
info on
I don't
that.
know anything about the Mavericks' new owner, so I can't comment on that. The Maloofs,
Okay.
when they bought the Kings, they didn't buy them to try to move them to Vegas. They did not. And they would have been crazy to even explore that because the Kings were selling out every game. They were after, and again, right after they bought the team, the Kings became the darlings of the NBA. You couldn't get a ticket. The Maloof's problem was when the economy tanked in 2007. They were building their third tower at the Palms Casino Hotel and Resort,
Correct.
and it was a condominium. Okay, and they had 90% contracts for units, and when the economy tanked, most of those people backed out. They forfeited their deposit, they backed out, and they had this beautiful new building that was empty, and that was the beginning of the end for the Maloofs. And George Maloof will tell you that's not true, but that is true, and everyone that was close to the situation knows that. And listen, I like the Maloofs. I'm still in contact with them from time to time. I have not a bad word to say about them, because before the economy tanked, they were great owners, not good owners.
Right.
They were great
Right.
owners. And I'll tell you, players from all over the league were
Mm.
telling their agents, get me to Sacramento.
Mm. Well, Grant, let me end it with this, because you left something in there that I respect. I have two boys. I appreciate you, Grant. Ryan,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you too for having this platform and giving Grant a
you.
bigger voice. A lot of people try to silence Grant, and they try to poison the minds of people. Nah, they can't do that. Real Kings fans respect you, Grant, and I
Love you,
respect you.
buddy. Love you. Love
Appreciate you,
your
brother.
love those words right here, my man. Thank you.
Great stuff. And then you get stuff like this. Grant, hope you're doing okay. If you're not, what can we do for you? That's your fan base, buddy.
Well,
That's pretty
you know
damn
what? That's why I still do this show with Ryno, because of people like you and all the other folks that follow me on social media or what have you. I've always said this, and I don't want to get off. The Kings played well tonight, so I really would rather talk about that than me, because I'm not comfortable talking about me.
Well,
But I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you. Because of the stories that I just shared, beginning in 1987 when I was at Channel 31, but really when I moved into radio full time in 95, is the bond that we have. That's why Ryan's with me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's why Ryan is doing the show with me. It's because of my radio show. It's not because of the Kings. It's because of the bond we had with him being a listener. I mean, you see, you connect with people when you talk to them. And I was a firm believer when I did my radio show that I was going to take phone calls, even even now, radio talk shows and sports are getting away from that. I'm like, no. The day that I cannot talk to my callers, my audience, not my callers, the day I cannot talk to my audience is the day I'm not working anymore. If I can't interact with you, if I can't have a conversation with you, if I can't pick your brain and you can't pick my brain, if we can't connect, I'm not doing the show anymore. I'm not just talking for 2 or 3 hours. No, that's not what I'm about. I'm about you. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know whether you like something, don't like something. I want to know your interest. I want to know everything. You can't do that without talking, communicating. So the reason why I do this show is because of you. And if we didn't have an audience, I would go, you know what, Ryno, this isn't working. I'm grateful for the sponsors we have. I'm unbelievably grateful for those of you who donate on the super chat. Trust me,
Amen.
it helps. It helps. And if you don't think it does, I'm telling you, it helps. Thank you very much. But what really helps is the fact that you're with us every night. Listen, the Kings just went through a horrible stretch. You were with us every night. You didn't back off. You're with us. You're calling. You're voicing your concern. You're sending us messages. The Kings win tonight. Guess what? You're still here with us, and you want to talk. And you're fans. You're the best fans. You go through thick and thin, and you're loyal. Loyalty, man. Loyal. I've told you, Scott Pollard is probably the most loyal friend I have, one of the top 5 friends in my life. And it's all about loyalty with Scott. Like, loyal to me is number 1 in the world. You're loyal. Your loyalty is why I want to come on and do this show all the time.
Amen.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but I
No.
want you to know that.
And all of you have grown this thing this year. It's continued growing, and that's because of you telling people about the show. And
Yes.
We can't thank you enough. And I'm going to put you on the spot because I told you I had one question, and it is about you. I've wanted to ask this all these years. Who was the first one to gloss you names?
Believe it or not, it was my brother's nickname, who is 3 years older than me, and it almost became our family nickname.
Okay.
So my brother's name is Stuart Napier. He's 3 years older than me, so he was playing lacrosse and football ahead of me, and they called him Napes. And they actually tried to change my nickname for a while to Nipper. They called me Nipper. And because they wanted me different than Napes, but I preferred Napes. And when I got to college, my fraternity brothers picked up on that, and they've always called me that. And so that's where we're at.
How did it get into Sacramento, though, and the basketball community?
How did I get to Sacramento?
No, how did the nickname like? Did you say, "Oh, just call me Napes"?
I think that when I would have guests come on from that knew me,
Yeah,
they would sometimes reference me as Napes, and I think my co-host then would start calling me Napes on the air. I think that's how that happened. I'm not positive.
All right, very good. Always curious about that.
So I can't even begin to tell you what it's like having the connection with the fans. Yeah, Doug Christie always called me Napes. Yeah, that's very true, Cody. Most of my friends call me Napes, among other things that I really don't care to repeat here on this family program. I get called a lot of stuff, believe me. Sure, you should go golfing with me sometime. You'll hear words you've never heard before.
Is that you, Dad? Yeah. Well, you know my last name. It was always Bo. And they shortened it for Bo. So everybody called me Bo. But before it got shortened for Bo, one of the football coaches thought that there was an easier, more common, not appropriate word to say. And so that stuck for about 4 or 5 years. Mind you, I am like freshman, sophomore, high school. And after a touchdown play or coming into the stands after a game, oh, great catch, Bo. And they would, parents doing it. So I get it, man. I get it.
I see Peaches. I've never been called Peaches in my life, so I don't know where that comes from. Peaches. I've either been Napes or Nipper, or 4-letter words that I don't want to reference here. So
good stuff. Hell of a win for the Kings tonight. At least they kicked this thing off with a win. Longest homestand of the second part of the season, Napes.
Yeah, and you're going to have to win. See, to me, it's not about having a win. It's about how you're playing, because you're going to be in the play-in, barring a absolute gigantic collapse. See, to me, Ryan, I'm looking at how the team's playing, and that's what I liked about the game so much tonight. I liked how they played.
Yes, they came out with their hair on fire. Complete opposite of what they did the 2 games before that. So,
right.
Will they live up to their MO, which is you play up to your competition and sometimes you play down? Because if you play up, it could be an exciting homestand the next 6.
Yeah, and I think they'll play well against Cleveland. If Cleveland's healthy and they have everyone, meaning if they have everyone playing, I expect Cleveland to win the game, even though they're playing on a second night of a back-to-back. I mean, they've already played a lot of back-to-backs this year. It hasn't affected them. They only have 11 losses. So, and they're a very good road team, as you look at the schedule there. So, but yeah, I like the way they played tonight. And again, that's what I'm talking about. I'm really into, are the Kings going to start playing the way they're capable of? Because if not, they're going to get embarrassed here by a lot of these teams coming in. So as you look at the schedule there. Hey, before we get to some other stuff right here on If You Don't Like That, I want to talk to you about Connor at Element Mortgage, and I will give you his phone number in a moment. And you see the QR code right there? You connect on that QR code, you'll get all the information that you need. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Connor. He's got tons of experience, and he has a phenomenal team behind him with over 100 years of experience. So if you're in the market to buy a home, you want to get in touch with him by hitting that QR code. I'll also put the phone number up that you can contact him at 916-505-1006. And if you're a real estate agent, if you need a lender who works as hard for your clients as you do, Connor's your guy, because he gets deals done. He'll keep you informed every single step of the loan process, and he makes the process easy for your buyers. So reach out to him today at 916-505-1006. And I know Connor is pumped up right now because he is a big-time Kings fan. So get in touch with him, Connor at Element Mortgage, 916-505-1006. 006.
Got some Malik Monk audio really quick.
And we did that for them.
Malik, we talked yesterday about like starting well and changing your mindset when you're in the certain groups. How did you feel like you fared on that tonight?
I did a pretty good job tonight. I think I did a pretty good job at spacing it out, attacking it at the right time, assisting, passing the ball at the right time. I feel like that was my best game. So I just got to watch the film on this and continue it.
Malik, overall, how do you feel, about getting this win and, and stopping that losing streak?
Amazing. Like I said, especially at home, in front of the fans, in front of the SAC. We see the beam when we go home. So it's great.
There you go. See the beam. It is great.
And the beam is looking good tonight because hopefully it will be up there for quite a bit on this homestand.
How many? Okay. Over, under 6 more games. How many more times are we going to see the beam on this homestand?
I think a max of 3. I'm going to say 2.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
That's assuming that the other team's best players play, unlike tonight.
Could you see? Could you imagine if the Kings went 4-3 on this stand? I mean, 4-3. Sign us up right now. By the way, yeah,
everyone would take 4-3. Everyone. There's nobody that would say no to that.
No chance. Boston's going to be hot for you. I think the Kings can possibly do okay against OKC. They've had success against OKC in Sacramento.
No.
Okay.
They're going to get blown off the floor.
I see. I look at that one and I think, okay, maybe
the second night of a back-to-back. Also, are you aware?
Oh,
of that?
That's the second night. You're right. Okay, I think I am completely wrong. Yeah, 2 times for sure. I think you get the beam. Chicago, Portland for sure. I'm going to say 3. You're going to get it 3 more times. That's 4-3.
So you think they're going to be Portland, Chicago, and who else?
I think they will be Portland, Chicago, and Milwaukee.
I could see them beating Milwaukee.
Think about the game. Think about the game Giannis had in Milwaukee. Game of his life. Now you got Jake. You got Jake LaRavia. Not saying he's going to stop Giannis. Nobody can.
He's not going to even touch Giannis.
No, but at least you have a different option to throw at Giannis. 6 more fouls. I think they could get. I'm going to say I think they can get Milwaukee.
Okay.
There you go.
Let's get there first.
Let's get there. Karen
because
says
right now, we also have to remember that you might not have Domantas Sabonis for all of these games, and if you don't think that matters, Kings fans, I'm sorry, you're not being fair here.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate. This team has consistently shown that they rally around each other when they lose a key member of the team to injury.
Well, they better rally around him now because you're playing murderer's row here.
You are. Get creative. If you're Doug Christie, get creative. Hey, if you come, Grant, with the energy that they brought tonight that we both really liked, you're going to have a chance. You'll have a chance.
Yep. You'll be competitive. That's what you want. They'll be competitive. Correct?
Correct. Bingo.
And I'm all about that. I love the competitiveness that I saw tonight. That to me is what I take away from this game. I love their fire. I didn't see that over the last week. I love their competitiveness. And I'll tell you what else. I love Bennett's, especially that bottom right-hand corner. Give me that New York steak.
Oh.
Prime Seafood and Steaks at Bennett's. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Make a reservation and more, whether it's at the West Side Grill in Rockland, whether it's Sacramento or Roseville. It is awesome. Bennett's is the place for prime seafood and steak. And don't forget about their weekend brunch. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com.
Brian was sitting courtside at the game tonight. And
Good for him.
And so he sent me a little thing on Sabonis when he went off to get the stitches. And then I sent him a little picture back where the camera actually caught Brian. Like dead on.
Oh, yeah?
He's like, oh, man. I'm like, dude, anytime the camera catches you by the court, that's a good thing, my friend. Embrace
He's a great
it.
guy.
I love man. Brian. Love
he
him.
Is awesome.
They did it.
So great for the community, too.
Absolutely. They did a awesome St. Patrick's Day special there today with corned beef and cabbage. And that's one of the cool things, by the way. Always monitor the website. They do great things around these different holidays that don't always get celebrated by every restaurant. So Bennett'sRestaurants.com.
All right, what's going on tomorrow? What time are you going to do the King's Court?
Yes, planning on 2 p.m. for the King's Court. If I am not able to do it, I might join you for a late show. If you're
I'm going to do a show at 8 o'clock. So you're more than welcome to join me.
All right. Very good. Appreciate that.
Appreciate all of you. We had a really good show today. A lot of good calls, a lot of good chat line messages. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. So tomorrow, be sure and join me here, maybe with Ryno too, at 8 o'clock Pacific on If You Don't Like That. Light the beam, keep it lit. Cavaliers are next. Big win tonight for the Kings. They played well from start to finish. Got to be encouraged with what you saw tonight.
No doubt. Light the beam, baby.
Thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. It will take 1 second. All right. And subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.